Hey everyone, Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel. Today's review is on the Elegoo Century Carbon. Now, anyone who has the original Elegoo Century, this is the Carbon, so this has got the additional features such as the enclosure is fully enclosed, and you've got some of the other little features that we'll go through this video. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you the unboxing. We're going to show you the relatively easy build. It is literally almost a couple of screws, some disconnection of cable ties and removing of some foam, etc. And then adding the screen on and the spool holder. It's literally that easy. And what we're going to do also is we'll go through some of its features, some of the specs, some of the comparisons to other brands out there. And then what we'll do is some prints using the Elegoo dual color filament that they sent me and a number of other different filaments as well. We'll try some prints such as very simple prints that come on the SD card. And as you'll know, it does come with a glass lid, and out there we do have incidents with dropping, especially if you're printing PLA and you really don't want to have the lid on because you want it to be able to, otherwise it's going to damage the prints and you'll get clogging, etc. So it comes with a print on the side, so I'll show that. And that is literally a glass lid holder that just attaches to the side. You literally don't have to buy anything. It's just print. So we did that. And we'll go through some complex prints such as 3D Print Bunny's seamless skull, which you'll see later on in the video. And then at the end of this video, we'll just go through some of the key aspects of this printer, my thoughts, some prints, and then a final recap. Now, in the description, you'll find a link to purchase this. At time of making this video, this printer is approximately $299, which for a Core XY printer, for me, is an excellent cost range. And it also has the filament cutter and the discharge chute at the back, which suggests to me at some point in the near future, we may have some multi-color units added to this as well, which for the cost range, being an enclosed Core XY printer, for me, just puts it right out there amongst some of the higher branded, quite expensive Core XY multicolor printers. So I'm excited to see where the direction of Elegoo are taking us. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate everyone that follows this channel. I want to say that over the last few years, we have gone right up there in terms of exposure. And I really appreciate the fact that you guys out there are the reason why I'm being put in this position. I don't take that for granted. I really don't. I've got some difficult things coming up over the next 6 months in my own personal life, which I'm hoping that my channel can alleviate some of that pressure. So I appreciate the fact that you take the time to watch my videos. I don't want to linger on that. A lot more will come out over the next 6 months and you'll see where that takes us. And maybe we'll even have a new studio. Let's have a look at that maybe in the future. But like I say, thank you for following this channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And let's head over to the unboxing and build and the first overview of the Elegoo Century Carbon. Also, in the description, you'll find a link to a written article for 3dwithus.com. So don't forget to check them out. And also will be PCBWay.com, who are today's video sponsor. Take care, everyone. Carry on watching.
Okay, so the first thing out of the box is the user manual. So this is just going to give you a guide on how to set it up. And there's also a quick user guide, so it just gives you an idea of what needs to be removed and what sort of tasks you're going to have to cover off. So the first thing out is the glass lid. So we want to put that aside. It has got this covering on it, so you will need to remove that. So the next thing to remove is the polystyrene lid. And then what we're going to do is grab the printer out and we'll use the bag to lift it out. So the next thing we want to do is remove all the plastic covering. You'll also notice there's some tape across the door. This is to stop the door from moving during transit, which once again, this is made of glass, much like the lid. The next thing we want to do is just remove the polystyrene, and this is basically holding the printing head in place. And also you'll notice when you pull out this piece of polystyrene that you receive this box. This is your box full of consumables, so in there you'll have the following items. So taking a look at the box and what the contents are, you have the power cable. It'll be unique to your country. The next thing out of the box is the 4.3 color touchscreen. You will receive this film on there, and it will give you some notifications of what you need to do to actually get set up. You have the side spool, so it literally just connects up and twists. And in here you have a various bunch of items such as some filament, but we never use the filament that comes with this. It's really not useful to anyone. So inside you'll find some Allen keys, some filament that we're not going to use. You also have a scraper blade, so it's clearly labelled as well. You also have a nozzle cleaner and some glue, which we tend not to use once again on this channel, and some grease as well for the rods. You will also find a spare nozzle wipe as well, so you can remove that on. It has a sticky back, so you could replace that if required, if it wears out. And you also have the USB key, which should have some models on there. I know it has an inbuilt memory as well. You just want to remove this polystyrene as well. This just helps protect the bed in transit. And then what we want to do is cut the cable tie and remove the cardboard covering. This is just to protect the actual filling head whilst in transit. Once you've removed that, you'll be able to move the printing head nice and freely along the axis. So once you've removed that, we're going to then head over to putting the screen on. What you will need to do is remove this plastic covering. It's like a sticky tape. Just be careful not to damage the ribbon. And then what you want to do is just push the ribbon cable into the slot of the touchscreen, and it clicks into place, and then you just twist it to the left, and that will lock it into position, as you can see now. The next thing we want to do is put on the right hand side the spool holder. This is just a twist and click system, so nice and easy to do. The next thing we want to do is remove the 3 screws. These are transport screws. They're clearly marked with an arrow. The actual textured build plate comes in 2 different forms. You have a plate A and plate B, and each of those have a different usability, and it clearly marks it on the build plate. And this particular model is a 256 square build volume. We'll go into a bit of the specs a bit later on in the video, and we'll cover off. What we want to do is put on the actual glass lid now, and that pretty much completes the build of this unit. On the right hand side or towards the back, you'll find the power cable connection and the on and off switch. And now it's going to go through the power cycle with the Elegoo sign coming up on the screen now. The next thing you'll need to do is select your language. There are multiple languages, and we're going to select English. The next thing it will do is remind you that you should have removed those 3 screws. The next thing it will do is ask you whether it's clear inside, so you haven't got any debris, and then perform a self-check. Just click yes, and that will start the self-check. You'll notice on screen a number of different device self-checks. This will run through each of those during the moment of testing. It will take about 10 minutes, so we'll come back to it. As you can see on screen now, it also does a bed level mesh, so this will clearly give you a good level bed, and that's part of the self-check. Once it's performed, it will come up on screen that it has been completed. Let's take a look at some of the settings on the screen. So we have an on and off light, so you can click that on and the light will come on within the chamber. The one thing I noted, it wasn't that bright and probably wouldn't be that useful. Now to continue with a word from our sponsor, PCBWay.com. PCBWay have a range of different things that you can purchase: some PCB board, PCB assembly, FPC and rigid flex, advanced PCBs, CNC and 3D printing, and 3MD stencils. They have a really easy to use website, so definitely check them out. And currently they have their 11th anniversary competition. So if we go to the bottom of the screen, you'll notice this particular competition, as you can see now. So click on there and this should bring you into some amazing prizes. That's PCBWay, today's video sponsor. So let's continue to look at the screen. So at the home screen, you can also select the light, you can select the files. So there's a local, USB, and your print history once you've started printing. So on the local, you'll notice that there's a number of different items, and notably one, the Eiffel Tower, which I'm going to print a bit later. And also you can select what sort of process you want it to do before it starts. If you want to do time lapsing, if you wanted to do a pre-calibration. These are all your choice. There's also a little cute miniature version of the Elegoo Century Carbon for waste to put on the back of the printer itself, which I'm also going to print. You can also do lots of other different things, such as load and unload the filament. You've also can change the brightness, screen on and off if you want it to time out a bit quicker or not at all. You can change your language. You can also do your Z offset, your log expert, so if you want to log some failures that it's had. You've also got time zone if you want to change that, what build plate you're going to be using for the print, so that would be key as well. It gives you just some version numbers of your current firmware, and then your power loss recovery, etc. So lots of different settings on there, and it's good to see that they've got the Z offset and other sort of cool features. So the next one is also your Wi-Fi connection. So you will have connected up your Wi-Fi. The one thing I would add though, it doesn't come with a app that you can monitor it. It would have to be through a computer, or if you somehow set up a wireless connection. You can also do your time lapsing, so you can turn that on and off and select your video. You've got automatic leveling, PID tuning, and input shaping. So if you want to do that for the particular plate, you can also do it for input shaping if you wanted to carry out that. And then you can also select unique ones, so you don't have to do the whole lot. So that's your calibration section. You've also got the USB slot at the beginning, at the front of the printer. On the side, so what we're going to do, we're going to use this PLA neon filament, which I picked up at the local TCT 360 event that was in Birmingham this year. And this was from a Spanish company, and we're just going to try that out. So it's going through the filament runout sensor right now, and then once it hits the printing head, we'll load it into the printer. So now that the filament is in place, we want to head back to the screen and click on the loading of the filament. So head to the settings page, go over to extrude, and you can load or unload depending on what process, and then it will run through a step-by-step on how to do that. And then it should grab hold of the filament. You may need to give it a little bit of a push just to make sure that the extruder grabs that. And then you'll notice at the back it goes over to the poop chute and just extrudes, and then it does like a little dance, and that just cuts off the actual filament and knocks it down to the chute. So what we're going to do now is select one of the models. It's probably key to start with a Benchy, and that's what we're going to do. You can click bed level beforehand or time lapse and select which bed you're going to use, whether it's A or B. We're going to do all of those, and then that sets up, and we'll leave it and come back and take a look at the print itself and the quality of the Benchy. Okay, so the Benchy has been completed in about 12 minutes, so nice and quick. As you can see from this, it's absolutely flawless. The actual filament itself I really like this filament. when I picked it up at the event, I just looked at it and I thought that is such a cool look, such a cool color. And as you can see, it's extruded really well. No bridging issues there. Looks complete, totally what I would expect of a decent first Benchy from a printer. So what we're now going to do is print off the poop chute bucket for the back, and this is basically a miniature Elegoo Century Carbon, and it just connects up to the back. You may have to unscrew a few things, and it's going to take about an hour. And there we have it completed. This looks absolutely cool in the neon green. And now we're going to do the Eiffel Tower, which is another model off the actual USB card. And as you can see, I used a different build plate for this just to see whether it would adapt the calibration to using a different build plate each time, and it did. There's a little bit of stringing on this, but the model itself is quite a complex model, and that come out really well. The other thing I wanted to do was a bit of a test, a 3D printer test on it, and as you can see, it did do an auto brim on that. I didn't turn that off on the Elegoo slicer, so everything that I did that wasn't a model that was already found on the SD card, I used the Elegoo slicer just to make sure that it basically matches up okay. As you can see, everything was clearly defined and come out exactly how I would expect of a 0.4 nozzle too. The overhang seemed to achieve really well, not too much sag on the 80 to 90% mark. So it goes to show that this printer is going to do the job. Like I say, there is a bit of string in there, but that could have just been the way I sliced the actual file. So the next thing I wanted to try was the chainmail. This really does test the actual printer itself. I used the Elegoo dual color, and that come out absolutely fantastic. Didn't have any issues with the adhesion, and this was just standard 0.2 settings on the Elegoo slicer app, and as you can see, this come out flawless, and I really like that. This would be awesome to do some like cool clothing projects if that was what you wanted to do, especially if it was a bigger build volume. You could actually make, I don't know, all sorts of things like little carrier bags, handbag type things. So nice and cool print that is, and really does test the printer's capabilities. The next thing I wanted to do was test out this little Jeep. So as you can see, the printer has finished the print in place Jeep. I'll leave a link in the description for all the models that I'm showing in this review video. Once again, I used the Elegoo dual color silk, and that come out really well. I used 0.2 layer height on the Elegoo slicer settings, and this come out absolutely popping with the built-in suspension. Like I say, you don't have to put this together, it's a print in place model. Everything that I've shown in this is sort of testing the printer's capabilities on extreme sort of things such as overhangs and little model pieces. The next thing that I'm going to show you is a model by 3D Print Bunny, and for me, she is like the guru of string art. As you can see, this is a skull, and you do need to make some changes to the settings on Elegoo slicer, and it's 0.24 layer height, and you do need to detect thin lines. So overall, it's a great printer, and it's definitely ticked all my boxes for expectations. So the printer is capable of up to 500 MMS and 20,000 on the acceleration. It is a 256 build volume square, and the nozzle goes up to 310 and the build plate to 110. I really like the actual aesthetics of the machine.
Okay, so that's the end of the review of the Elegoo Century Carbon. Throughout this video, you would have seen how easy it was from unboxing to the build. So simple, literally just a few steps, and straight into the calibration side, which is completely user-friendly on the touchscreen. For me, going through the years of working with 3D printers, sometimes it could be hours before you're into the printing stage. It's a matter of minutes now, and in some case, no more than 20 minutes. The reason why it takes a little bit longer is because the calibration step covers so many different varieties to make sure that you get the best print. Now, this did that. Obviously, at the end of it, it did have a firmware update, and I am a very keen advocate of redoing the calibration step after any firmware, because it does take it back to factory standard. You just want to rule out any issues that you might have. Some might disagree with that, but that's just how I do it on my channel. Now, the Elegoo Century Carbon's nozzle temperature, let's just run through some of the specs. So we've got a square build volume of 256, so cubed, quite a decent size for this. I'm hoping to see maybe Elegoo stretch into a 300 square, maybe slightly bigger. And as I mentioned earlier on in the video, maybe venture into multicolour. They do have the chute and they do have the cutter. It could just be a case of modifying the actual head itself. Who knows? They may have already considered that, and that's something in the pipeline. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that direction. It's also a 320 nozzle, so you can print some exotic materials with that. It's a hardened steel nozzle as well. You've also got the hardened steel extruder, so it's not going to chew up on that. It's got the capabilities of going up to 110 degrees on the build plate. And because it's an enclosure, yes, it's not a heated enclosure, but if you're whacking up the build plate to like 100, 110, that's going to create some heat, especially if you keep the lid and the door shut. So we're looking at speeds of up to 500 MMS on this. But I always say that that's an exaggerated figure, and a lot of different companies say that. Quality does dwindle down on that. So I always aim for my printing to be about the 300 mark, especially with some of the prints that I've done over the last few years. They do require you to slow the print down. It does print with a lot of different range of filaments, and it's an exhaustive list. You could do carbon fibers as well. It's 20,000 on the acceleration, so quite a decent speed on that. Like I say, it is a 1.75 diameter, so just make sure that when you're ordering your filament, you're getting it specifically for that. Now, the overall quality of the actual printer itself, the build of it is premium. For the price tag of $300, it is premium in my eyes. Having had some competitors for a lot more money, and obviously multicolor of those, but you know, for $300 you're getting a Core XY setup. Now, in the description it's going to have my article from 3D With Us, so definitely check that out. It's got an extensive step-by-step guide if you want to read it. Also has where I picked up some of these prints, links to those if you want to see those. Once again, thank you to Elegoo for sending me this printer to review. All of the things that you've seen in this video is totally my opinion. I am not influenced by the fact that I was sent it for free for my channel to review. I am completely impartial for that, and I always have been and always will do. If I do have issues with the printer, however, I do reach out to the brand and I highlight that I found some issues, or if there was a breakdown of the material of something, I'll highlight it to them. And if I feel that it needs to be brought to you guys as a community because it's something that they can't fix, I will highlight that in the video. But this particular printer, for me, ticks all the boxes. The UI, the build quality, the print speeds, from unboxing to straight to print was seamless. So that was the Elegoo Century Carbon. I am Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Once again, thank you for following my videos, and I look forward to showing you some future content. Stay with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a good time. Take care, everyone.